Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are breaking down the engine that's powering the entire AI revolution, large language models. And by the end of this, you're going to understand not just where they came from, but more importantly, where they're going, and how you can navigate the wild road ahead.
Just look at this number for a second. 1.74 trillion. That is the estimated power, the number of parameters in a single AI model. I mean, a scale like that was pure science fiction just a few years ago.
So today, we're going to unpack the incredible story of how we got to that number. But, this isn't just a history lesson. There's a pretty serious warning sign showing up on the horizon that we really need to get our heads around. So let's do it. Let's chart the rise of these models and dig into the big debates that are going to define their future.
Okay, so to really get a handle on where AI is today, we've got to look back at the timeline for OpenAI's GPT models. I mean, they haven't just been a part of the story. You could argue they've been the ones setting the pace for the entire industry. It's been like a rocket launch.
And man, what a pace it's been. It all kicked off back in 2018 with GPT-1, which was really just a proof of concept. A year later, GPT-2 was so good at writing that they were actually scared to release it at first. Then, of course, ChatGPT dropped, and suddenly AI was something everyone was talking about. And now, in 2024, we've got GPT-4o, an AI that can literally see and hear. The innovation has just been relentless.
But the real turning point, the moment everything truly changed, was back in 2020. That's when a model with a whopping 175 billion parameters showed up. And GPT-3 wasn't just bigger, it could do something brand new.
And that new trick was called few-shot learning. Now, this was a total game changer. See, instead of needing to be retrained for months on a new set of data, you could now just show the AI a handful of examples of a task, and it would just get it. This was the moment AI stopped feeling like a rigid computer program and started feeling more like a flexible, adaptable tool.
And that right there, that was the inflection point. All of a sudden, AI could adapt and generalize in a way that was completely unheard of before. It wasn't just doing what it was told, it was learning on the fly.
And after GPT-3, things just went into overdrive. ChatGPT, of course, made AI conversational. Then GPT-4 ballooned to that crazy 1.74 trillion parameter size and introduced function calling, which is basically like giving the AI hands to use other tools, like searching the web or booking a flight. And now GPT-4o has senses. It can see, hear, and process it all in real time.
So this progress, it's felt completely unstoppable, right? Almost like a law of physics. But lately, some pretty interesting evidence has started to pop up that suggests we might be getting close to a performance wall, what some folks are calling the log linear boogeyman.
And this brings us to the billion-dollar question that the entire industry is asking itself right now. Is this insane growth sustainable? Can we just keep making models bigger and feeding them more data to get to the next breakthrough? Or are we about to hit a ceiling?
This quote from a recent research paper really nails the concern. Academics are finding that the performance gains are starting to flatten out. They're saying that to get what's called zero-shot performance, that's the ability to do a task it's never seen before, the amount of new data you'd need would be, and I quote, astronomically vast. Basically, impossible to get.
And, we're even seeing little hints of this in the latest models. I mean, GPT-4o is amazing with other languages and with multimodal stuff. But when it comes to its core skills, English text and coding, it's pretty much on par with the model that came before it, GPT-4 Turbo. The curve is definitely flattening.
But hold on, because just when you think you have the answer, the story gets more complicated. Right as this whole plateau theory was starting to gain steam, Microsoft's CTO came out and made a really bold claim, promising a whole new wave of progress, powered by hardware on a scale we've never seen before.
See, their bet isn't on reinventing the AI model itself. It's on reinventing the engine that runs it. In 2020, they built what they called a shark-sized system for GPT-3. For GPT-4, they scaled up to an orca-sized one. And for the next one, GPT-5, they're building a whale-sized supercomputer. They're basically betting that the bottleneck this whole time wasn't the data or the AI's design, it was the raw horsepower. So this fundamental disagreement, are we hitting a wall or are we just warming up, has kicked off two huge debates about the right way to move forward with AI. And really, understanding these debates is the key to figuring out the strategic landscape.
The first big fight is basically an ideological one. Open source versus closed source. Think of it like this. Do you want to build your own car from a kit? That's open source, like Llama and Mistral. You get total control, total privacy, but you better be a pretty good mechanic.
Or do you just want to lease a super reliable, easy-to-drive car from a big company like OpenAI or Anthropic? It's super convenient, but you're paying them, and you can't really tinker under the hood.
The second debate is all about size. Should we keep building these digital giants, these LLMs like GPT that are unbelievably powerful but need the energy of a small city to run? Or should we pivot our focus to small language models like Microsoft's Phi series? These are designed to be so efficient they can run right on your phone, bringing powerful AI to literally everyone, everywhere.
Okay, so what in the world does all this mean for you? If you're trying to build a business or even just a career in this space, how do you make the right strategic moves when everything is so complex and uncertain?
Well, it might sound a little weird, but a potential plateau isn't necessarily bad news. For one, it could actually bring some stability. Instead of trying to build on shifting sands, you'd have time to create solid, lasting products using today's amazing tech. And second, think about it. If AI's growth slows down, the value of human expertise, of our creativity and strategic thinking only goes up.
So here's what you've got to keep your eye on. First, OpenAI's next move. GPT-5 is going to be the big test of that whole bigger is better theory. At the same time, watch the competitors. Google and Anthropic are closing the gap fast. Meanwhile, open source models are getting better and easier to use, which could really open up AI development for everyone. And finally, the whole game is about to change with on-device AI, especially with what Apple is doing. This opens up a massive new market for apps that are fast, private, and don't need the cloud.
Look, the next chapter of AI is being written as we speak. So the real question is, what role are you going to play? By understanding the history and these strategic debates, you can go beyond just being a user of these tools, and you can start making the smart, calculated bets that are going to define this entire era.